All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting race out here at Daytona for Cash Motorsports Night Daytona race. This is going to be a good one. Thank you so much for being here. Jamie G up in the booth as always, and we are looking forward to seeing what these guys have for us tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's on the board. So it's looking like 30 laps here tonight at Daytona for Cash Motorsports. 75 degrees for ambient air temperature. Track temp is going to be 78 degrees. Not too much to worry about there. Wind is only at 4 miles per hour, and the track looks pretty dry. Looks like we're running those fixed setups, but if you want to go ahead and join Cash Money Motorsports for some cash in your pocket, head to the Discord on the screen now. But thank you once again for being here, and we are about to get gridded up. Qualifying just now ending, so we are going to see who is actually on the top of the list. Let's go ahead and take a look. So it's looking like Josh McCullough taking that top spot. Michael Brown in second place. Craig Robbins, he's going to be in third. James Waring in fourth. Todd McDuffie sitting in fifth. Derek Raleigh is going to be in sixth. Jessica Childs in seventh. James Moore for eighth. And Bradley Stefane for ninth. Let's go ahead and check the grid. Looks like they are still gridding up. So as always, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our national anthem. We'll be right back with high-packed action here at Daytona.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the track as these drivers are starting to get going for this race. Thank you once again for being here. Cash Daytona night race. This is going to be a good one. Don't miss it. We're going to go ahead and go over the grid real quick. It looks like on the starting grid, Josh McCullough and Michael Brown. Row 2 is going to be Craig Robbins and James Waring. Row 3 is going to be Todd McDuffie and Bradley Stefane. Row 4 is going to be Derek Raleigh and James Moore. And row 5 is going to be Jessica Childs. All right, as we go down the backstretch, it's looking like it's going to be a battle between Josh McCullough and Michael Brown. This is going to be an exciting start here. Most likely going to be green flag the whole time. I don't see very many incidents in this one, ladies and gentlemen. As we come around, we'll go ahead and the last race was actually an amazing race. These guys did a great job. It was awesome to watch from the booth. We're going to go ahead and get started. Unfortunately, I do not think our race winner from last week is here. Let's see. Currently for league points, Josh McCullough is standing in first. Derek Raleigh in second. Here we go. Green flag is out, ladies and gentlemen, as we go green here at Daytona for this amazing night race. Side by side for the restart, number 45 and McCullough. McCullough beating out the 45 with a little bit of help. Looks like that number 14 is charged to the front. Josh McCullough beating out that outside lane. Unfortunately, that number 95 is getting left out. He is going to start falling back. James Waring starting on the pole, but slowly drifting back to the back. Getting a little bit of help with the 13 on the outside. 13 of James Moore helping out a little bit. Now it's James Moore that's going to have to tuck into that pack right there. These guys are going to be going single file. Josh McCullough, Craig Robbins, Michael Brown, Todd McDuffie, Bradley Stefane, James Waring, and Derek Raleigh. James Moore leading up the back. I don't imagine we're going to see a whole lot of pushing and shoving this early in the race, ladies and gentlemen, with 29 laps to go. Here these guys come around the front stretch. Turns 3 and 4. Looks like that 89 is looking to jump out a little bit. Bradley Stefane, but he's going to get right back in line, followed by the 95 of James Waring, moving up a couple positions. James Waring looking to make up some room off of that restart right there. Starting off in that pole position and having to fall back. That outside line fell apart. That front pack, 14, 00, and 45, all getting a nice knit group right there, trying to push those cars and keep them up towards the front. As you can see, these guys are going to be single file, trying to get his... Ooh, a little bit of action right there, contact between the 95 and the 89, getting the 85 a little bit loose, or the 89 a little bit loose right there. 13 falling out of the pack. 13 is going to wind up falling back to the back. James Moore. .14 still in charge of this race. 00 looks like he's going to be pushing pretty hard. They got Michael Brown right behind him in that number 45. They're going to be nice and tight. Looks like you got that 89 jumping to the outside with the 95 again. They're going to try to make an outside run with it with the number 17. Derek Raleigh trying to get as much as that draft as they can from that inside line to be able to make some room on that outside. 17's falling back a little bit. 45 poking out, seeing what's going on out there. Looks like they're going to be falling back in line. Stefan now jumps to the lead of the outside line. 89, 95. Still trying to make that outside work. If they can get together, they're going to be able to push past that number 14. Josh McCullough doing a great job of keeping in charge of this race, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and now it's the 33 and the 17 jumping to the outside trying to make that line work. They're going to have to stay out there for a second, get a little bit of that side draft. Coming up on the side of the 95 right now. They're going to need to get together a little bit closer than that to make that speed work. A little bit of wiggling going on down there from the 95, getting out of line. That's going to take a little speed off that outside line, unfortunately, as they have to dodge it. 45 jumping now to the outside. Michael Brown seeing if he can get that 33 and 17 to catch back up to him. They're going to be side by side right now. Michael Brown and the 00 of Craig Robbins. Amazing job by these drivers so far, keeping it in line. No cautions. There you go, guys. Outside line starting to build up a little bit of momentum coming around. Oh, everybody jumping to the outside. 89 now jumping out with the 95 again, seeing if they can make it work. Jumping in front of that number 45 of a Michael Brown. 14 said, no way, you're not going to leave me out of this. He jumps up in front of the 89 and then back down again. Bringing those two back down to the inside line. That's going to leave the 45 out there by himself as he jumps back to the inside. 33 followed up. James Moore and Derek Raleigh got to be careful they don't lose that draft. If they wind up losing that draft, it's going to be hard to catch back up, unfortunately. They are getting pretty far back. They're going to have to be careful because if they wind up losing that draft, there's going to be no chance. They're going to have to team up and work really hard together, push really, really hard to get back up to that front pack. They haven't quite lost it yet, but man, they are starting to creep back a little bit. Once you start to get about a second back from the person in front of you, it's really going to be extremely hard. And as you see, they are starting to fall back even further. Those front drivers, 14, 89, 95, and 33, are pushing hard down at the bottom. Derek Raleigh and James Moore are going to have to get together and start pushing really hard to catch back up to this pack. 45 00 on the outside. Currently seeing if they can get that side draft from the 95 of James Waring. Just not able to get it done as James Waring pulls forward with the 89 and 14. Josh McCullough still in charge of this race. As you see them fall back in line, 33 and the 13, or I'm sorry, 33 and 45 jumping back in line right there. Right there in front of the 00 of Craig Robbins. They're going back single file. Nobody can seem to get that outside line to work, unfortunately. If they can just get together and push a little bit harder, they can make it work. 00 looking to the outside again. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 20 to go after the line. Looks like Derek Raleigh and James Moore have finally teamed up. They're going to have to, like I said, push really hard. Derek Raleigh's going to have to get right up on the back bumper of that number 13 of James Moore to be able to push up back towards the front again. They're going to have to catch those guys. That front pack isn't too tightly knit, so they should be able to do it. But running side by side like this, it looks like the 13 letting Raleigh underneath him Raleigh takes that front spot. 13 must be a better pusher, because here we go. They're going to team up and see if they can run it. As we get back up to the front, looks like the number 14 of Josh McCullough still up in the lead. Nobody able to take that away from him. The number 89 pushing him, and then 95 are keeping it moving. They got a nice little tight group going on right there. It's going to make it even harder for Derek Raleigh and James Moore to catch up. Looks like Michael Brown's starting to fall back a little bit. As Michael Brown's starting to actually make a charge. He says, nope, 00 jumps to the outside line. 00 not able to make it happen. Jumps back down to the inside in front of the 33 of Todd McDuffie. Side by side, Todd McDuffie, Michael Brown coming out of turns 1 and 2. Or, I'm sorry, 3 and 4. Nobody able to make that outside line work, unfortunately. Looks like that front of that pack is moving about 185, 184 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and check on our guys in the back here. They're running about 183, 184, 185. Come on, guys, you got it. Let's keep pushing hard. Yeah, James Moore hitting all the way up to 187. Moore's going to have to make a little bit more connection behind that number 17 of Derek Raleigh if they want to catch back up. They're starting to fall back a little bit too far now. Currently sitting 7 seconds back, unfortunately, from our top leader right now of Josh McCullough in that 14. Josh McCullough dominating this race so far. Still got a long way to go. 16 laps to go after the line. These guys are still staying pretty single file. And I imagine after they get towards, about 5 to go, we're going to see a lot of jockeying for position up at this front right here. 45 dives to the outside, not able to make it work. He's going to have to fall back in line. Michael Brown side by side by the number 33, Todd McDuffie. As he falls back in line with Todd McDuffie, these guys are coming down the backstretch right now. Looks like Bradley Stefane looking to the outside of that number 14. He says, nope, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. Smart decision by the 89. 33 and looks like 33 of Todd McDuffie and Michael Brown jump to the outside, see if they can make it work. A lot of clean racing so far as we get halfway through this race, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you for coming out to Daytona tonight. Amazing, amazing night. Nice cool air. That's the best time to come out, is under the lights. These guys are putting on a hell of a show. Josh McCullough still in charge of this race, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and ride on board. Let's ride on board with Bradley Stefane. Bradley Stefane right there behind our leader, the number 14. Great line from those two. They've been working together all night, doing an amazing job. Stefane staying in second pretty much for the whole entirety of this race so far. Beautiful wheel work coming out of Stefane in that number 89. Let's go ahead and jump back with Todd McDuffie. See how he's getting along back here behind the number 00 of Craig Robbins. A little bit of a gap right there behind the 00. He's gonna want to close that up a little bit, but it looks like he's doing fine at keeping that draft. That's what you do not want to lose. Oh, and it looks like Raleigh into the pits. Not sure what's going on with Raleigh. We'll have to check in with him later, but let's jump on board with Joshua McCullough, our race leader. Still peaked out at 185 miles an hour. Raleigh's still into the pits. That's going to leave James Moore out there by himself, falling back profusively. And as James Moore also comes down into the pits, that fuel gauge might be wrong. They may be pitting in. Go ahead and ride along with James Waring real quick. Ooh, beautiful interior to that car. Looking good out there, Mr. Waring. He's going to be sitting behind the number 89 of Bradley Stefane. As James Moore comes back out, that's going to go ahead and put him a lap down as he comes out of pit lane. Switching over to Craig Robbins. He's going to be behind the 95 of Waring. They're hitting about 190 miles an hour right now. Letting off so he doesn't get too close to that 95. Raleigh's still in the pits. Must have some kind of mechanical issue going on. We'll check with him after the race. See what happens. Let's go ahead and take it up with Michael Brown. He's going to be sitting behind that number 33 of Todd McDuffie for GTCR. Beautiful wheel work coming out of Michael Brown, coming around turns 1 and 2. As they head down the backstretch, he's got a little bit of a gap. You're going to see him let off a little bit right there behind McDuffie. They're starting to fall back. There's a small gap between McDuffie and that front pack. You do not want to start to lose it right here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. These drivers are coming into pit lane. Joshua McCullough still our leader. Oh, 00 missing his pit box. Hey, has to back up. He's going to lose some time right there coming back out. Crucial time that he needs to keep up. Number 14's coming out early. 14 with the 89 behind him. 95 right there on his tail. Josh McCullough, Brad Stefane, James Waring out of the pits. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a race to the finish line. 00 just losing that front pack a little bit. He's going to have to work with that number 45. That's going to put James Moore back on the lead lap. But they are going to catch up to Moore pretty quickly. At number 13 of James Moore out there by himself, unfortunately. He's just doing the best he can to keep the best line possible coming around Daytona so he doesn't go a lap down, but that front pack is catching very, very quickly. go ahead and check back in with our leader, the number 14. He's going to have a team of 3 right there. They're going to be the only ones up front right at the moment. That's going to put the 14, 89, and 95 at a huge advantage, coming with only 7 laps to go here to end the Cash Motorsports night race at Daytona. Amazing job by these drivers so far. No cautions have come out. Looks like Michael Brown and Craig Robbins working together back here. They're going to have to catch up. They're going to need to push really hard, nose to tail, if they're going to want to make it to back up to the front of this pack. That's going to leave Todd McDuffie and James Moore out there on their own. Todd McDuffie in front of James Moore by 13 seconds right now. Nobody to work with. And it just goes to show how much it matters coming into a hot pit stop like that and just doing it right, because these guys right now are going to be almost 5 seconds behind the pack leaders of Josh McCullough, Bradley Stefane, and James Waring. Here we go, 5 left when they cross the line this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming into the closing laps of this race. '89 right on the bumper of the number 14. He's looking to the outside. 95 is ready to go with him as soon as he does. Looks like 95 is moving with that 89. They might try to leave Josh McCullough out to dry. Josh McCullough leading every lap this race so far. They're going to be looking to take advantage. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a battle with the 14, 89, and 95 of who's going to get that checkered flag. Unfortunately, I do not think that Michael Brown or Craig Robbins have enough to put it together to get back up towards the front, unfortunately. Just not enough laps left in this race as we have 4 to go. Todd McDuffie's still out there by himself, unfortunately. James Moore still hasn't went a lap down, but they are catching him very quickly. Great driving so far. No cautions in sight. Green flag run all the way to the end. 3 laps to go. Let's take a look at that green flag pit cycle. That gives you times on how they did in the pit lane. McCullough with a decent pit stop right there, but it looks like McDuffie and Moore beat them out of the pits with a faster time. Good job by those guys, but unfortunately it's just not enough to make up for how much they've already lost being single cars running around Daytona. Everybody knows that it takes a lot of effort to try to stay up with that front pack. And once you lose it, unfortunately, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. White flag is out. We're going to race it to the finish here. 89 looking to the outside of the number 14. 95 is right there with him. James Waring ain't going to let this be his last lap. He's going to move it to the front as fast as possible. He keeps looking to the outside with that number 89. They're going to try to get out on the outside of that 14 of Josh McCullough. If Josh McCullough doesn't have somebody to work with, he is going to be in trouble if those two get together. Just unfortunate. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. They're looking. Are they going to make it happen? Coming across the line, he goes sideways for a show. Thank you so much for the show, number 14. Josh McCullough leading every lap in this race, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to conclude our race here tonight for the Cash Motorsports Daytona night race. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. We're going to go ahead and be right back with your driver interviews. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with your podium drivers, Josh McCullough, Bradley Stephane, and James Waring, putting on a hell of a show here at Daytona for the Cash Daytona night race. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us up in the booth. We're going to go ahead and start with our winner, checkered flag holder, number 14 of Josh McCullough. Take me through your race.
It was a good race. I wish we would have got some more drivers, but yeah, it was a clean race. Pit stops mattered a lot, so we stayed calm, waited, and we broke away from the field, and that's all we needed.
Yeah, as we seen a mistake from the 00 on pit lane, just missing it by a little bit, having to back up of how much damage that did of losing that front pack. You, Stephane, and Waring just keeping it together, trying to get through as fast as possible. Great job by you guys. Amazing effort tonight, and congratulations. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's race?
Want to give a shout out to Bradley and James for working with me, helping me get the win. Shout out to Derek for throwing the race up, and shout out to you for doing the broadcast.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight and putting on a hell of a show, leading every lap tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely. As we move on to our second place driver on the podium, Bradley Stephane, and that number 89. Take us through your night tonight, Bradley.
Oh yeah, pretty good night overall. Kind of just want to start it out the race, just kind of ride around, buy some time, wait till the end where the chaos would begin. But lack of drivers, which I understand that the chaos probably ain't gonna happen, but overall it was good. We just Josh and James kind of teamed up with those guys, I guess, and we just took off. It was just a good race. I didn't plan it like that, but that's the way it happened, and I'm happy with the outcome.
Well, you guys did an amazing job of putting on a hell of a show down on that bottom line. Nobody could get that outside line to work tonight. It just was not happening. As soon as somebody tried, it looked like James Moore and Derek Raleigh unfortunately started falling back, losing that front draft, just trying to get that outside line to work. But congratulations to you guys coming out for a podium finish for second place. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's race?
Oh yeah, I just wish it would have been definitely would have been more of a battle, have everyone up there contending, and maybe bring a little more of that chaos. But it is what it is. I'd just like to thank you in the booth doing this broadcast. It was phenomenal. Josh and James, us getting together, helping each other out, it was great. And Derek putting on this race, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming out and putting on the show. We really enjoyed it from up in the booth. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Last but never least, number 95, James Waring, to finish out our podium finish. Take us through your night, James. How did it go?
Well, had a little difficulty at the beginning. Kind of got hung out on that outside line, but I was able to hook up with Brad, and we just worked our way up to the front, working together. Got behind Josh, and the three of us worked together. Uh, green flag pit stops were the key. We hit all three of us hit ours, able to stay together and just keep pushing hard like we did, and develop a lead that we could be comfortable with.
Yeah, like I was saying, that outside line just couldn't get it. They just, the side draft was not there, unfortunately, and the help was too far behind. But you guys made it happen down on that bottom line for the rest of the race. Green flag pit stops definitely the key. If you guys would, either of you would have missed it, that gave the chance for Craig Robbins and Michael Brown to catch up. But nope, you guys had a flawless pit stop. Congratulations on your podium finish tonight. Anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's race?
First, I want to thank you and Derek for putting this race on, for broadcasting it. Y'all doing an excellent job. Thank Josh and Brad. You know, we worked together, worked together well, and we were able to pull off a 1, 2, 3.
Well, you guys did a great job putting on a hell of a show here at Daytona for the Cash Motorsports Daytona night race. We appreciate all you guys showing up tonight and showing out. But that,
Thank you.
yes, absolutely. But that is going to go ahead and call it for the night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much to the people that tuned in and watching after the race. Thank you so much to Derek for putting this on, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time here at Cash Motorsports.